So as you see, there's various tabs. So the one we're going to check is the one that says baby formula shortage. Hot off the presses, this was updated yesterday with the latest and the greatest of the new formulas that they added. We actually had 14 brands last week, and they added approximately 3 more brands. So these are brands that are being imported, the ones you're hearing about on the news that are being imported from various countries. They're actually they're different. Some of them are made of goat's milk, for example, which is something I had never seen before as a dietitian. So I was surprised. I'm like, oh, who knew that there was formula made of goat's milk? So some of these formulas are actually made from goat's milk. So if you scan down on this page, I'm trying not to make you too dizzy. If you go down, as I explained, a participant can have a specific formula designated on their card. They could have Infamil Infant as the one they're using, or Gentlease, or so on. Any of these, they can be their designated contract formulas. We have currently 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 formulas that are our contract formula, and this one is just the concentrate options here. So there's contract formulas, currently 5 of them that could be added onto their WIC benefits card. So let's just show you the Infamil Infant. That's the one that you'll see most often with participants. When you click the link here, it's going to take you to a handout. And this handout is the one the families should be using to guide them to understand which formulas are temporarily available as options besides Infamil. If they cannot find Infamil Infant, these are the other options they have. But it also details what are the size cans that they can purchase of the Infamil Infant. Before, they were truly restricted to only one size, but now they have a nice choice of various sizes of the formula that they were using. So let me just show you some of these formulas just so you can see. Some of them I had never heard of, like Bubs. This is the newest one that they just added this week. And you'll notice it is in metrics. So that is something that the families will notice about the packaging. It's still in the metric system, which is not something they may be, some of them may be from a country that uses metrics, and it won't be a challenge for them. So just know that these are the new formulas, and I'll just scan down slowly for you can see. Infamil, you'll notice here it is. It does come in multiple different sizes. And that was the challenge initially. Many of our families were saying when this formula shortage started and that formula recall started in February, many of our families were expressing to us, I'm not able to find the 12.5 can. Can I purchase the larger cans? I thought, gosh, what a great idea. And I am so thankful and so grateful to the California Department of Health and our WIC administrators in Sacramento who made these changes possible. These changes of allowing not only flexibility of can sizes, but of formulas. It's an amazing change because now our families are being able to get the help they needed, because before they didn't have the option just to buy it on Amazon or to, pay $40 on Amazon because that's where you can find it. They were very limited on their availability to buy the formula, but now they have various sizes and various formulas. But let me just keep scanning down for you can see. And I want you just to see, oh, sorry, go ahead, Lynn.
Do you want questions after or?
It's up to you. I don't know how much time I have, and I did ask my peer
till the end if you want. Yeah.
Oh, okay. I can take questions if they're in the chat. It might be a little challenging for me to read them, but if someone needs to ask a question now, definitely raise your hand. I can see you if you raise your hand.
Thank you.
And so one thing that I want to make sure to explain is the can sizes are varying. So if the can size is larger than 27 ounces, 27 or larger, it will count as 2 benefit cans. So as you know, most families have a designated amount of cans. So let me give you an example. A 5-month-old who's only formula feeding will get 10 cans, for example. If they get 10 cans and they buy the Infamil Infant Powder 29.4, that will count as 2. So that will be 5 purchases of those cans that are 29.4. So just know that that's how they're adjusting the benefits and how to use them. And that's how you read this handout. If they pick this can, it only counts as 1. But if they pick this one, it will count as 2 benefit cans off their benefits card. Let me keep going down. There's a lot of new additions, store brands, Nestle, Gerber, the O brand, which I think the O organic might be a Vons or a Safeway brand, Parent's Choice, I believe that might be a Walmart brand. So there's many different ones. Tippy Toe Up and Up, that's the Target brand. So this is just kind of a nice little option here to use. Definitely nice to use this handout for the families. So we send it to them as a text message. So if a family contacts us and expresses to us, I'm having a challenge finding formula, we will go towards that route and send them the text and explain to them, these are your other options that you do have available to purchase. And any questions so far about that? What I just went over. I'm going to go back and show you the powdered option, but is there specific questions? Lynn, go ahead.
Sorry, just about ordering on Amazon. I would imagine most people aren't Prime members. Do they get, are the fees covered or how?
They couldn't. That was the challenge. Many of them told us, can I order on Amazon? And they couldn't. They didn't have that option. And that was the challenge we were expressing to them, that unfortunately Amazon and mail order system, Instacart, they wouldn't be able to buy their benefits that way. And I'm sorry if I misspoke, if it sounded like they could, but yeah, no, they can't, unfortunately. And that was a challenge that a lot of our families were expressing, that, yeah, they were finding it online, but they weren't necessarily finding it in the stores that they needed it. And they didn't have that option. Right now, they cannot do even grocery deliveries or anything like that with their benefits card, unfortunately, either. So.
Because you can with a EBT card, but
yeah, but the WIC benefit card, unfortunately, not yet, at least. Maybe that's something in the works. If they were magically able to do this change, it just seems like anything's possible to me, because I thought this was the most amazing change. I never thought it could be as well planned and well organized as it was in such a short amount of time. They must have worked night and day to make this happen, because it was amazing how well this is planned out and formulated and communicated, and there's handouts and there's ways for us to explain to the participants how to use it. So it's worked out really well. Did you have another question, Lynn? Go ahead.
The equivalencies, as far as some of the formulas, do higher costs mean that people get less formula, or is it everybody gets if they're in the, depending on their age of the kid and everything, they get the same percentage ounces and that kind of stuff?
Oh, good question. Yes, the price in itself doesn't not matter. That's not a factor in being able to purchase your benefits. So it's more on what is allocated on their benefits card. So for example, like I said, the 5-month-old, if they're allocated 10 cans, they can buy of any of those brands that you see in it. The price doesn't matter. One might be 25, one might be 17, doesn't matter. The vendor will get reimbursed of whatever that cost is.
Yeah, because I imagine the organics and the imported, some of the imported ones.
And you would think there would be more, right? Yeah, because I don't know that. I know of the price, that I don't know how much they are, but I know that for participants, they don't need to worry about the price. They just need to worry about how many cans are allotted in their benefits card, and they can see that on the app, and I'll share the app screen for they can see where they need to check. But it is something that most families who are on the WIC program actively use the app for many things. We do have a few set families who don't have smartphones or don't have a means of internet, that they need to physically come into our office and get printouts or something like that, or call us and ask us, what do I still have? If they go to the grocery store, they can get a printout from the customer service counter to find out how many cans they have left, for example. They don't have to come to our office, but that is an option. But they can always go to the customer service counter at their local store that accepts WIC, and they can give them a summary of what they have available on their balance as well. Okay, let me show you the more global option, which is the powdered formula. This is for someone that's truly on a powdered formula, but they wanted to have more flexibility of what they wanted. They don't necessarily want to stick to equivalents. Maybe they don't want to just stick to Enfamil infant equivalents. And what I mean, for example, is under this powdered option, the person who is on Enfamil infant before can only get those equivalents, but couldn't get Gentlease, for example, as an option. But on this option, you can get all of them. Oh, and then of course I got an error. How'd that happen? Let me try it again. Let's see, let's go one more time. Let's hope we have good success in being able to view it. Let's see. Oh no, can't view it. Maybe I can show you in Spanish. Let me try loading this again. And let's see if it comes up in Spanish. Little glitch there. Oops. Let's go back. Sorry, went too fast. But let's go back
And
to
actually,
Spanish.
somebody posted in the chat that they were
Yes.
having trouble accessing links.
Oh, really? Okay, okay. So that's not coming up as an option, that the links are kind of a problem. Okay. Oh.
But someone from Wake added it, I think, after that.
Oh, okay. Oh, maybe Denise.
Or-
Okay. Yeah, because I have the chat closed. I'm sorry. Let me go ahead.
Hi, everyone. Hi, Lynn Sigario.
Yes.
Denise. Hi, everyone.
Yeah.
Try again. I've also, because there are constant changes, just like Sigario had mentioned earlier, we're trying to update our website, but I've just alerted the team not to do any updates during your presentation.
Okay,
So
thank you.
check
Maybe I
that
should have
out right
checked in
now.
with them before I started. This is an ever-changing process. Is just as we think we're done, there's like some new updates to do. So sorry about that. And in a way, it's good. Oh, okay. Let me try the Spanish. I think I'll try the Spanish instead. That might be the better option at this point. Let's see. Because maybe you think they're updating the Spanish one too? Let's see. Let's find out. Sorry, everyone. Okay, okay, let's try Spanish. Let's hope. No, okay. It's okay. Well, we'll come back. At the end, we'll try to come back and see if it's available. Sorry about
Sigario,
that. Yes.
I believe that it is actually updates that are occurring on the CDPH state Wix site. So
That
we
might be what it
apologize.
is. True, because it is a link directly to our CDPH website. It's not ours. It goes to their website of where that handout is. So maybe at the end, if it's not available, you can definitely go and check the powdered option. And what I just wanted to illustrate is the slightly larger number of cans, even within each brand name, more options within each brand name, because now we're allowing all the formulas. One exception to that rule that I'll just point out, I won't test the links since they might not be working, but I'll show you a couple of other things. So besides having the powdered option and then specific to the formula, we also do have a ready to feed option, which was not an option before this formula shortage. And also we have therapeutic ready to feed. So if any of your participants or any of families that you might be dealing with are actually requesting these formulas, we actually want to have a conversation with them, because if you've gone shopping recently, it's actually one of the more challenging formulas to find. Ready to feed is a hit and miss, versus powder. You might be more lucky to find powder than you will the ready to feed. So if ever we do have someone that's requesting the ready to feed for any of these choices, we definitely want to talk to the families just to make sure that they actually found it at the vendor and it's not something that they think, oh, I want to use it, not realizing it may not be available. So let me go back to the next slide. So let me just end the presentation on the formula shortage in that it is changing, it is evolving, but we're anticipating that come July 31st, we can actually transition to our new change. So this formula shortage has created this opportunity to give more flexibility to our participants. And we're hoping that we won't need to continue it past July 31st, because that's when we're transitioning to a new contract formula August 1st. But what was interesting today, Kiran shared, our deputy director shared that Abbott, who is the manufacturer of the formula we're transitioning to, the Similac, the one plant that they reopened in Michigan had a little hiccup and they had to close it down again. So we're hoping that doesn't affect us, but oh my, just when we're thinking, okay, it's rolling along smoothly. They opened up the Similac plant, but we're hoping that's not going to be a problem. So before I transition off of formula shortage and the new flexibilities, did anyone have a specific question that you wanted to ask? Anything that was a little confusing that would like me to explain again?
There's a question in the chat about are WIC stores stocked on all brands of formula as well?
Oh, thank you for bringing that up. So so just to clarify, WIC stores, when you say WIC stores, they're not necessarily owned by any of the WIC agencies. So they're truly independently owned and operated by different organizations, different companies, but they're not necessarily part of us as WIC, but they just cater to our WIC participants in that they provide the food items that are on their benefits card. That's pretty much what those WIC only stores do. The state is working specifically with Walmart, and let me go back and actually show you that link, because one of the things that we also identified was that many families were using their phones to search for formula. They were actually using Instacart, for example, to find the formula. They would go on Instacart, look to see if a vendor in their neighborhood had it, and then they would physically go to the vendor to buy it. So that was a roundabout way to find formula. But Walmart came up with a very creative thing that they did to help our families find formula. And they offered us an option where they can actually find the formula for us. You can do a search on that website, and let me try to find where it is, which I know I just saw it. Denise, do you want to refresh my memory where it is?
Come
I
down
think here it is.
further.
Here it is. Oh, here it
Yes.
is. Here it is. Okay. So on here, on this part of the website, you'll see find available formulas. Many of the vendors, the Ralphs, the Vons, may even have their own app. That's another way to look for formula. Instead of calling, some of them will actually look it up on the app, and it's actually been helpful. I tried it not too long ago. I live in Long Beach, and I checked it. It was 9 o'clock at night. I needed to do a Walmart run, and I realized, gosh, I'm going to check to see if the app says the formula is available. I looked on the app. I punched in the formula that I was looking for, which was Gentle Ease, and then I punched in to see if they had any Infocare and Infamil. They actually said on that evening at 9 o'clock at night that they had all those formulas available. It didn't say low stock, and lo and behold, I go to you can't reserve anything, but you can see what the stock is, because remember, WIC participants, because they can't pay for things over the phone with their benefits card and they can't order online, they have to physically go in. But this system was actually, it worked. The formula was there. I looked, there were plenty of cans of all three of the formulas when I visited that night. This was a couple of weeks, so maybe 2 weeks ago. And I texted Denise and I told her, I can't believe this app actually, this system actually did work. So Walmart has been very consistent as just an example of keeping their stock matching what their website says is available. And then the store that said didn't have any, I went to that store the next day and it was true. What they said on the app that said they weren't available, they didn't have the formulas. I went to that Long Beach Walmart, they didn't have it. So the first one I tried did have it, just like the website said, but the second one did not, and it was true, they didn't have it. So this is just another option that our families have of being able to find formula using this format. Okay. So what questions do you have about the formula shortage before we now transition to the change of the formula that we want to make sure it gets communicated to everybody as well? Okay. Well, if you do have questions, you can definitely let me know at the end. So come August 1st, we are transitioning to a new formula. It's a Similac brand. It's an Abbott product. We'll be switching our current products that are milk-based to Similac August 1st. So our Infamil products will change to the Similac. We're hoping that this transition wouldn't be too challenging, but as you know, as we have all heard on the news, the Abbott situation closed down the plant, so it did affect their production. So we are going to be switching these 4 formulas, these 4 milk-based formulas, to these 4 milk-based formulas. And here's just a chart, a simple chart that we created for our staff, where they can know which one is the equivalent. Okay, and I'm going to go over the specific formulas for you, just for you can get a basic idea of what these formulas mean. I'm not going to make it too scientific, but I wanted just to at least explain to you what the differences are between the formulas and show you that really there's actually not much of a difference going from our current Mead Johnson contract formulas to our new Abbott formulas. Let's go ahead. We do provide what we call therapeutic formulas. Therapeutic formulas, you still may find them at the grocery store, at the store, without necessarily a prescription. You can buy them over the counter. They're not necessarily that you need a prescription for them to purchase them at the store, but to be able to get them through the WIC program, we do need medical justification. So if you're going to deviate from our standard contract formula, our milk-based formulas, we need to make sure that it's medically justified. So if ever you have infants that require anything beyond our standard contract formulas, we would just need a prescription from the doctor, just noting what the medical reason is that they would need these formulas, and they're medically justified, especially the preterm ones, the InfaCare, the NeoShorts. Those are for preterm babies. They're higher in calorie. These are for hypoallergenic situations when they have a cow's milk protein allergies. So there's definitely medical justifications for these, but we just need to make sure we have medical documentation for them. And either we issue them through our benefits card, or they can go through a pharmacy, or maybe if they need something more specialized beyond what you see here on the screen, maybe they need one of those elemental products. We can get them either through the pharmacy, or if they don't have Medi-Cal, we can go through the state and have them delivered to our office where they can pick them up. One change that's not changing is our soy base. We're actually keeping soy, the Enfamil soy brand. The other milk-based formulas will be changing to Abbott, but not the soy base. The soy base will stay as Enfamil. It's a complex reason why, but it has to do with reimbursement and contracts. So I won't go into the details of that, but just know the soy-based one will stay Enfamil. And just a reminder, this soy-based formula, we typically want to make sure that there's a discussion with the doctor before they transition to this formula. It is something that normally isn't given to preterm infants, and there needs to be a valid reason why they're transitioning to this formula. So hopefully they've had a discussion with their doctor before they start off at birth on a soy-based formula. And I believe I was explaining to you that the formula amounts that they all get on their benefits card. As we transition to these new formulas, if they were previously getting a set amount of formula, that set amount will continue when they transition to the new formulas August 1st. So for example, if a baby is 5 months old, August 1st, or let's say 7 months old, August 1st, a 7-month-old when they were on Enfamil would get 7 cans if they're not breastfeeding. The new formula, they'll get 7 cans as well. So there's not going to be a difference because the size of the cans are comparable. So there's no difference in the benefits of how much they were receiving before to now as we transition to the new formula. Okay, so let's go over in, just slight detail, just for you can know the difference. What's the difference between the 4 formulas? Why are there 4 formulas that we're providing? So the first one is the basic Similac Advance, which is comparable to our current Enfamil infant. It's a standard milk-based formula. It's typically given to full-term infants if they don't require any additional calories. If they needed additional calories, it would be more on the preterm formulas like the InfaCare or the NeoShore. This one will be coming in powder or concentrate. So just make a note. This is going to be actually the only formula that we'll be providing come August 1st that's going to be in the concentrate form. That's the milk base. We'll still provide concentrate under Prosobi, but the milk-based formula, this will be the only one that'll be in concentrate. The next new formula that we'll be providing is Similac Sensitive. Actually, Similac Sensitive is truly a new formula in that we've actually not had a lactose-free formula. This will be a new formula for us. We don't have an Enfamil equivalent to it. And just know that because it is lactose-free, they do substitute the carbohydrate source with usually a sugar source of some kind. So Similac Total Comfort, that's another formula that we'll be transitioning to. This one is replacing what we call the Enfamil Gentilese and the Reguline. This formula is slightly different from these two at the top, and that is considered a partially hydrolyzed milk protein base. And I'll explain that in just a minute. The proteins are just more easily digested. When they're partially hydrolyzed, just hydrolyzed means breaking things down. So it's a partially broken down protein that you would find in this particular protein and this particular formula, Total Comfort. And it will be coming only in a powdered form. Okay, the next new formula will be Similac for Spit Up. That is comparable to our current Enfamil AR. So milk is a milk-based formula, and it has added rice starch, and it's for infants who have reflux issues, GERD. Those are usually more specialized. You'll get patients that are transitioned to this either early on when they're maybe a month or two if they're having reflux issues, but most likely this one, moms will transition to this because the doctor has recommended it. We don't normally have a newborn born at birth starting off on this one. They're usually started off on the basic one. And then if there's any sensitivities or any issues, then they could be transitioned to a different formula depending on their symptoms. What questions do you have about the formulas? Anything come to mind that may not have been clear that you need to ask?
I have a question in
Sure.
regards to the Similac sensitive.
Yes.
For any you said that they switched it from a sugar, from a carb to a sugar.
Yeah, so the milk carbohydrate, which is the lactose that's removed. So they put another form of carbohydrate in, which is usually a sugar.
And I guess my question last is like basically in the formula or in the actual sugar itself, is it one of those what's that sugar called that they use for seniors, like the Splenda? Is it that kind of sugar or
Oh
is it
no,
just like
good question. Yeah, no, it's not an artificial sweetener. Good question. It's just truly a regular sugar. So it's usually could be a corn-based starch, corn-based corn syrup. So I haven't looked at the exact ingredients, but I know it's not, when they remove the lactose, which is the milk sugar, they add in another source, and it's usually corn syrup of some kind, which is a common thing in formula.
oh
But
okay,
not an
yeah, because I
artificial,
was
but not an artificial sweetener. Yeah.
yeah, exactly. I just know that I'm Native American. I know that on the reservations, they give Similac to a lot of Native American reservations. I'm used to like governments issuing out, like I guess people of color, like commodities or rations as they put it. So that's why I know Similac is one of the ones that we get on the reservation as opposed to Infamil, which is what I was raised on. Luckily enough.
Ah,
So Similac is kind of one of those questionable ones that we had on the reservation, so that's why.
interesting. Yeah. Here in California, this is the particular contract that we have for the WIC program, but it doesn't necessarily mean that's the only formula brand. There's Abbott, there's Mead Johnson. There, as you saw, there's 17 different brands, but the ones that we would often see are the Abbott, Mead Johnson, Nestle. Those were the standard formulas that we would see out in the market. But yeah, they're comparable. It's like Coke and Pepsi, I guess is the best way to describe it. It's a formula, and they're just different manufacturers, and they manufacture it slightly different, but they are slightly different in composition, but they're pretty comparable. The milk-based ones are pretty comparable, and I'll show you that in the next slide. You can see the comparability. Go ahead, Lynn.
Sorry, that's kind of answering one of the questions from Marlene, is explaining the main difference between Enfamil and Similac for quality and nutrients.
We'll talk about that. Yes, I'm going to talk about that. Thank you for asking.
I have a question.
Yes.
Is there a Similac that's that replaces that can be used instead of the Enfamil plant-based formula?
You mean the Similac one?
Yeah. So is there because
they do have one? I believe they call it Isomil, but we just don't have the contract for that one. But there is one. Abbott makes one that's called Isomil that's comparable to Prosobi.
Okay. Thank you.
So it's their soy base. Yeah, I want to say almost every single Gerber, for example, or Nestle, they have their own soy-based formula. Almost all the formula makers do make a soy-based one. And like I said, normally as a clinical dietitian, soy-based, there has to be a medically justified reason to transition to a soy-based formula. I would recommend if you want to do some research on it, you would see why there are some concerns about transitioning to soy. If it doesn't need to be done, make sure you clear it with the doctor. You don't want to transition just because you're a vegan or a vegetarian, you want to do that. That's different from you want to transition because you think it might be healthier than the milk base. Confirm it with the doctor, discuss it with the doctor. There's been a lot of research of using milk base versus plant based, but what's the best way to feed a baby? Breastfeeding. If at all possible, we really try to capture our opportunity with our moms to, while they're pregnant, to give them the information, empower them with the decision of hopefully breastfeeding exclusively. But these are alternatives to feeding a baby is formula. We definitely encourage breastfeeding, but you know, it does sometimes happen where they need to use formula and they may need to use a plant-based one, which is the soy base. So now 2 very important tidbits of information that I need to talk about with our changing formula. These 2 that have the red circle, the Similac Total Comfort and Similac for Spit Up. We were informed that because it is an Abbott product and the manufacturing issues that have been going on with Abbott, these 2 particular products may not be available come August 1st at this point. So we're actually not going to be able to issue these 2 formulas on the benefits card. We're hoping in October, maybe around that time is when we're anticipating to get confirmation that we can issue. We're trying to continue issuing our families the Enfamil Gentilies, the Reguline, and the Enfamil AR all the way through to September and maybe beyond. It's just what feedback and what updates we get from Abbott will factor in when these 2 formulas will be available. Even though these are our contract formulas, we have been confirmed that as of August 1st, they're not going to be yet available on the shelves. So that's why we're not going to be able to issue them on the benefits cards just yet, but hopefully in the near future, they will come. Okay, so now let's compare just for you can get, I'm going to keep it very simple. Nothing too complicated, but you'll see the core compositions of these 2 formulas, the Enfamil Infant and Similac Advanced. They're pretty identical. I think the only thing that really varies out of the 4 main ingredients is just the ounces, but it still yields the same amount. As you see, these 2 are very comparable. There might be a slight taste difference maybe between the 2 products. Maybe an infant might notice a taste difference, but outside of that, they're pretty comparable, which makes it a good transition for families if in fact they need to transition. What's interesting too is right now with this formula flexibility, there may be families already transitioning to these formulas, that they're using various formulas, that maybe this transition to a new formula may not be as challenging as they once thought because they've had to improvise and use other formulas. If in fact there's sensitivities and things like that, those babies most likely might be on specialized formulas already. But we're hoping that, you know, with this flexibilities of the formulas, maybe they've tried these new formulas that are coming to the WIC program. They may have already tried it and this probably might not be a huge transition for their babies. The older the baby, the more likely the change will be less impactful. You know, 1 month old or a 2-week-old, gosh, you know, many times we'll see moms switch formulas until they find one that works well for them. So we're not too concerned about the switch. I think it's just more being open to explaining to the mom how to do it. And we'll talk about that at the end. Lactose-free formula. So like I shared, this formula definitely is a new product for us. It's not anything we've used before that we've had a truly a lactose-free product before. So like I said, they do use other carbohydrate sources to make it a lactose-free product. So they substitute the lactose, the milk sugar, and add other sources of carbohydrates into it. And like I said, this is for someone that is in need of a lactose-free product. And we'll talk about lactose issues because I want to make sure I clarify what's the difference between a cow's milk protein allergy and a lactose intolerance. Okay, so now Enfamil AR. The comparable is going to be the Similac for Spit Up. And you'll see it's pretty comparable. There's nothing really major difference between the 2 products. It's not going to be a difficult transition most likely for these babies because usually the babies are having more of an issue of a reflux issue and adding the rice starch will be consistent between the 2 products. And as I shared, it's not going to be available on August 1st, but we're hoping that, come October, it is going to be available, but our families will continue to receive their Infamil AR and continue to be able to purchase any brand name of formula of Infamil AR through July. And then hopefully they can continue to use Infamil AR in August, September, and October. And it shouldn't be a problem to find, because we've been told by Mead Johnson, their manufacturing has really stepped up and they're providing the formulas now throughout California. They're doing major shipping throughout the Kroger's, the Safeway, the WIC only stores are getting specific deliveries of their formulas out to these locations. So a lot of our contract formulas are going to be very well stocked in the next couple of weeks as well. Okay, so now the next one is the Gentilese. Gentilese and Reguline. Those two products are comparable to what is called the Total Comfort option, which again, not going to be available August 1st. But when you compare the products, you go, okay, they're both, the two, Gentilese and Reguline, both partially hydrolyzed formulas. You go, oh gosh, what does that mean? I'll talk about that in just a minute. Reduced lactose. They're not lactose free, but they are reduced lactose. They have, interesting, Gentilese did not have the prebiotics, and I'll talk about what those are for. But the new product, Similac Total Comfort, has reduced lactose and the prebiotics. So hopefully the transition to the Total Comfort, once it's available, shouldn't be a problem for our babies. They're pretty comparable products. Okay, so now let's talk about this partially hydrolyzed breakdown. You'll notice I try to make it an illustration. It's like if you had to think about like a strand of pearls. You have Infamil. It's like a long strand of pearls. That's the strand of protein, just a larger protein molecule. It's all intact. It's kind of all still connected. But now you're talking partially hydrolyzed. What does that mean? Well, it's like taking that strand of pearls and cutting into smaller segments, making that protein molecule a little smaller, and that little smaller molecule is more readily absorbed in the intestinal tract, causes less stomach upset for some babies who have that sensitivity to the milk protein. But then there's other babies that might need, gosh, an extensively hydrolyzed, breaking that molecule to even smaller segments. And also, we do have babies that need a more what is called elemental product, or something that's completely broken down, keeping it down to the amino acids, because that's what proteins are made out of, amino acids. So they break it down into smaller particles to make it more readily absorbed. So babies that have a lot of intestinal issues, absorption issues, may be on the fully hydrolyzed formulas. So that was your chemistry class 101 today. So hopefully it wasn't too much. Okay, so let's talk about the lactose, just so you can understand what that means. It's a carbohydrate that's found in milk. It's called lactose. Some formulas replace part of the lactose with different carbohydrates to make them a reduced lactose formula, like you saw in Gentilese. Or they use a carbohydrate source that's lactose free. So if it's lactose free, then they're adding more carbohydrates, another sugar source of some kind, into it. Having a lactose intolerance is different, or a lactose sensitivity is different from having an allergy to cow's milk protein. So if the doctor says to the mom, your baby has a cow milk protein allergy, that generally means they need to be on that hypoallergenic formula, which is the Nutramigen, for example, or the Alimentum or the Progestamil. Okay. And they might even be on the more elemental ones if their allergy is severe enough. So I wanted to explain that just to make sure that we often do have families that say, my baby can't tolerate lactose. I need a lactose-free formula. Well, now we do have that option, but sometimes it's actually more a cow's milk protein allergy, which is different from being allergic to lactose. And that's our Similac Sensitive, which is a lactose-free product. Okay, so the prebiotics. You hear about this all the time on the news. Nutritionists and different experts are talking about prebiotics, probiotics. What are they? So the prebiotics, they're added to the formula to help the baby have that beneficial microorganisms in their digestive tract be fed and grow. There's good bacteria that we have in our intestinal tract, and these prebiotics help maintain that good bacteria in our digestive tract. So through support of growth of this friendly bacteria, it helps produce those softer stools. But what's interesting is these same prebiotics are in breast milk. So what's interesting is just know that formula companies are trying to mimic breastfeeding breast milk, but what's the better ideal way to feed a baby? Definitely breast milk. The baby has been fed for those 9 months that the mom carried the baby. They're getting all these prebiotics. They're getting all this benefit from the mom. They know how to digest mom's protein. So they tend to do a lot better with breast milk. But if those babies cannot be breastfed for whatever reason, formulas with prebiotics are beneficial. So all 4 of the Similac products that we are going to be introducing will be containing the prebiotics. Okay. If you do have families that need to know if the formula is kosher, if it's halal, or if it's gluten-free, all the Abbott products that we're going to be, the 4 contract formulas that we're going to be providing meet all for all 3 of these standards. So the kosher, the halal, and the gluten-free. Okay. Changing formula brands, with this flexibility, we're hoping that the change will not be as impactful and shocking for some of the moms because they've had to improvise and change formula. Some of them have. So Infamil to Similac products are very similar, as I showed you in the composition. They may not notice much of a difference between the 2. There might be slight changes in the number or the color or the consistency of the stools as they're changing to this new formula. It's not necessary for infants to transition gradually, meaning they can go from having 1 bottle of Infamil to then going and having a bottle of the Similac problem. It shouldn't be that much of a transition between the 2 products. Some infants may notice and react to the taste. That's normal. We all have preferences. We all have taste buds that got used to drinking and eating certain things. But as the baby gets older, you're going to notice their taste buds expand. They're more willing to try new foods. So hopefully the taste difference of the formula shouldn't be too impactful. They just need to get used to it. We all get used to eating different foods that our mom gave us. And then your friend goes, I've never eaten that. It's what you get used to, right? So as long as the baby continues to be given that formula, they should adjust to the taste if it's really just a taste issue. Okay, so let me go back to our website. And let's see if we can get the the link to work. We'll try it one more time, and if not, then we'll just go back to my other illustration that I wanted to show you. So let me show you just the powdered option. Oh, it's still not working, darn. Okay, let's go back to.
Sagrario,
Yes.
some of the bottom links,
Yeah.
They do work.
Oh,
So
like
just-
the other formula ones?
Yes.
Oh, no, I wanted to show them the powdered one that showed like 7 or 8 different for each of the different formulas. It's okay. Darn, I was hoping it would have worked. So one of the things that you'll notice about our website is hopefully it's user-friendly. To me, it's very user-friendly because the first thing you see when you open the page is, let's say you're a family that wants to apply for our program. They say, well, how do I apply? There's the nice little apply button here. If they were to click that button, you're going to see it takes them to a nice screen where it just asks basic information, where they ask their first name, their last name, information about who they would like to enroll. If they're interested and they want to make sure that they qualify, they can check their income. We do use gross income. We don't use net. So hopefully the families can look to see if they meet the guidelines for the family size that they're declaring. And once they complete this and they hit send, it will go into our system and someone will be in touch with them. It's usually pretty quick. We've been getting a lot of applicants lately because, the situation is not easy for a lot of families. A lot of families who are working full time are having challenges coming into our offices. But just a reminder, our WIC appointments are currently either by video, by phone, online, and in person. So they have choices of how to get their services. It's no longer right now, because we do have waivers that it's allowing us this opportunity to do things virtually, that it has given this flexibility for families who are working full time, have limited accessibility, after work or before work to come to an office. They can do things virtually. Maybe they can do it during their break. Maybe they take an hour off lunch to be able to do this over the phone. So there's flexibilities that we're hopefully offering our families to be able to do things virtually. We do serve over 200 families, 200,000 infants, women, children in our program. There's over 200,000 families that we serve. And just know that these families are getting these benefits. They're getting the food, they're getting the nutrition counseling, they're getting an RD. If they need to see an RD, they're getting that service as well, to talk to a registered dietitian. Maybe they need breastfeeding support. Maybe they would like to attend a support group. We do offer Zoom classes. The Zoom classes are really fun because we try to give new topics, but we have breastfeeding support classes via Zoom. Another thing that we often do every year, we've been doing it for the past couple of years since I've worked for WIC, about 15, 20 years, I think, that we've been doing the farmers market. Every summer we offer farmers market booklets. So let me just click the link where you can see. Right now, families can receive $30 to spend at the farmers market. And you go, gosh, that's good. But there's some farmers markets, like for example, Adams in Vermont. I happened to go there yesterday. There's a farmers market in the area at St. Agnes Church. They're there Wednesdays from 2 to, I think, 6 or 2 to 5. They offer a market match. So besides the $30 they get from us, they get $20 from the vendor there. So they get $50 for their visit for that day. And the fruit and vegetables at that location, just as an example, they were so reasonable. I was pleasantly surprised how inexpensive fresh strawberries were. They had a promotion. You can get 3 of them for $5 yesterday. I was like, wow, 3 little baskets for $5. That was an amazing price. And then we also have our baby carrot. Our staff members were trying to make it fun, trying to make the visits to the farmers market fun for the kids. And we do have a staff member who we went and bought him a carrot outfit and asked him to go to the farmers market and greet our participants. So it was just one of these fun activities that we did with our staff, but we're just trying to make sure that we're meeting the needs of our community by not only offering WIC services, breastfeeding services, but the farmers market program, which is an amazing program that I truly have a lot of passion for. And I love what it represents, because I know as a child, farmers markets were, you know, something that we didn't visit because we always felt, oh no, that's too high end for us. We can't afford that. But this makes it accessible and reachable. They accept EBT there. So it's definitely an option that a lot of families should use. It's local. They don't have to go to the grocery store and get fruit that maybe is not as fresh, maybe not as, you know, it doesn't last as long. So this is one thing that I really do have a passion for, is the farmers market program, which I love to death. It's just the best program. Our website does have many different resources. So if you want to know more about breastfeeding, you want to know about referrals that we might have, resources for dads, just if you get a chance after my presentation today, please take a look at our website. You may be able to use some of these referrals or some of these references for your own families. It's not just for WIC families. They all can access this page. And if they're eligible for the program, please have them enroll. We are very open and willing to work with them on appointment times, when they want to be seen. We do have Saturday appointments as well. So I'm hoping I'm not missing details, because I'm trying to finish up, because I know I'm running out of time. But just know that we're here to help our families out there in the community. It's a rough time right now for our families, and we're definitely hoping that you can just spread the word, because that's how WIC is communicated to the community, is by mouth. We don't have, you know, commercials on TV or billboards on the streets. It's just word of mouth, how people find out about the WIC program. So thank you. Oh, sorry, Lynn, I didn't see your hand.
Oh,
Sorry.
that's okay. Thank you so much. This is such great information. I feel like everything has been laid out. There was a question about, did all infant milk formulas also include prebiotics?
There was one that did not. Actually, Gentilese did not. And I can show you. Yeah, and you know, and it may have been just a choice of the manufacturer not to have added it on there, but it was one of the few that did not. Let me just go back so you can see it. Oops, there. Yeah, it was the one that did not have prebiotics, Gentilese, which seemed like it would be kind of gentle, right? Gentle, make my stomach more digest, and it didn't have it. So when we did this presentation, we were pleasantly surprised to see, oh, it didn't have it. Who knew? So,
And then the
so
other
yes.
is for the prescription-based formulas, can they purchase any size as well with WIC benefits? Up till the change, I guess, up till August.
Yeah, up till the change. So for example, if in fact if it's a prescription formula that we do issue on our benefits card, because there are some prescription formulas that we don't issue on our benefits card. Like for example, there are some called, like there's one called Neocate, and that one is actually imported from the UK, for example, but it is a common one. It's an elemental product that a lot of our infants are being transitioned to if they're high risk, having a lot of digestive issues. They end up on this one called Neocate. Neocate, for example, we don't provide on the benefits card. That one either has to come through a pharmacy, that if they have Medi-Cal, we go through a pharmacy and have it delivered to their home, or if they have no Medi-Cal, they have private insurance and it's been declined through their private insurance, we can go ahead and process it through the state. And the state, it takes about sometimes 2 weeks to get it through the state, because it's a couple day process to get it through, get it approved, and then shipped from Sacramento to us. So it takes a little bit of time, but it takes about 2 weeks for the family to get it. And usually we'll talk to the doctor, make sure that they're aware of it, for they can maybe give them samples or something like that to hold them over until they can get the delivery.
Well, thank you so much. This is so complete, so incredible. And I think we'll all need to get on the website and really become familiar with all the equivalencies and the information that's there. It's just very, very
Yes.
helpful for Sigourney. Thank you so much, and for letting us tape it too.
Well, thank you. Let me just stop sharing. Thank you. Thank you, everyone, for your attention. And I hope that I didn't overwhelm you with too much, but I was trying to capture everything in like an hour. So, but thank you.
Very good info. Thank you. Okay, and so there's the ability to text to WIC too with questions from families. So
Yes, there's a way to text, and if you go on the website, it'll say text this number if you want more information about the program. So we text participants and they can text us.
great.
So definitely it's like I said, it's very user friendly, but if you do have families who have no internet or have no smartphone, there's our WIC office. They can just go to a regular phone, borrow someone's phone. Maybe they have a flip phone and they can call us. We can set up an appointment. They can come into our WIC office and we
Wonderful.
can process it. It doesn't all have to be all technology, but technology gives them that liberty that they don't have to physically come into the office. A lot of moms don't want to come in, truthfully.
Sure.
They have a newborn, not vaccinated, and this coronavirus is just so scary. I don't blame them. I don't know if I would want to bring my baby in unless I really had to.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for the flexibility, and we will work to post this as a recording. I'm sorry, a little bit will be cut up at the beginning, and thank you to Steve Nisht for recommending that. The communications person himself. So good.
Thank you very
so
much, everyone.
everybody. See you in
Thank you.
July. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye, guys, or ladies and gentlemen.